Hey everybody, welcome to ThaxCast. As always, my name's Terrell, and today I'm going to do something a little bit different than I've ever done before. So a while back, I entered a contest on Twitter, one of those things that's, retweet and like or whatever. And it seemed good enough that I thought I'd give it a shot, realizing that the odds are really low. But turns out I won something. This was part of the Intel LTX Gold Sample giveaway. And it's not an ad. They didn't pay me to do this. I'm just really pretty grateful that I've actually won something because it's pretty rare. And so I wanted to do a little bit of an unboxing. Now this is going to be in two parts. One where I just unbox and kind of look at what's in here. And then another when I order the motherboard and stuff to go with it, because what's in here is not going to be currently compatible with my motherboard. So I'm going to need to get something else for it. That includes a motherboard and power supply and case, because I'm just going to sort of take some of the better components from my current one, put it into this. But anyway, without further ado, we'll see what this looks like. All right, so a nice black box, says Intel on it. Oh man, that looks so good. I appreciate the detail in the box. The top part here has their little hashtag symbol. It's just really professionally looking. Not sure what this is. Oh, that's just a way to lift it up. Okay. Nice felt on top of the foam. Again, just nice details. It's not like it helps anything really. Just, I really appreciate the attention to detail they put into this. So this right here is the Intel i9-10900K Gold Sample Edition. Now, according to the specs that I've been able to find online, it should be able to clock up to 5.7 gigahertz per core. It's got 10 cores, hyper-threaded 20, versus the regular 10900K that looks like it can get up to about 5.3 gigahertz. So it's essentially the same processor, just slightly better, that's able to clock a little bit faster under the right conditions. Now, I'm not going to open up the packaging on this just yet. I'm going to wait until I'm ready to actually get it into the motherboard, just for the purposes of keeping it in an anti-static container and sort of a clean environment until it's ready to be used. But again, a nice detail on the packaging. I really like that it's not just thrown together and they just give you a box with it or whatever. So the bulk of this box is this guy right here. This is the Cooler Master ML360 Sub-Zero. It's supposed to be one of the better closed loop controllers out there. Let's get this little strap off of here. It was just meant to help pull it out of the bigger box. So one thing you'll see about this one is in the closed loop, it's got a separate pump, and I'm not sure exactly what the benefit of that is, other than it says that it's supposed to be more efficient, and it's like mounted to the case separate from the rest of it. It is designed specifically to complement the Intel processors, so that it can keep it cooler and be able to get it faster at more efficient temperatures and power usage. Now, this one has 3 fans on it that total 360 millimeters. So you have to have a fairly decent sized case for it. For instance, my current case would not accommodate this. This is also meant for more of a top mounting on the case, and my case only allows for front mounting. So I'm definitely going to need a different case for this. And again, you got that Cooler Master Intel partnership going on here. Again, I really appreciate that it's packaged well enough that it could survive shipping and not get bucked around too much. So I gotta admit, this piece is much larger than I thought it would be. Like, way bigger than I thought it would be. I'm not sure if that's gonna be in the way of anything when it's all said and done. I'm assuming probably not, but this graphic next to this, I really honestly thought it was gonna be smaller. Bigger doesn't mean that it's worse. In fact, it's honestly probably better if it can allow for more efficient movement of the liquid through there. Now this is that separate pump. You'll see it's got a mounting bracket here so that it can mount to the casing. And then we got the control that you plug into the motherboard with it. And again, bigger than I thought it would be. When you look at it on the box, it looks like it's probably only about 2 inches across, when in fact it's more like 3.5 to 4. Maybe not 4, but maybe like 3.5. So again, bigger than I anticipated, but again, I'm going to be getting a big case for it. And then we got the back plate and board connections for it. And yeah, just the screws and stuff to be able to attach it to the board. And then the radiator and fans. So each fan has its own set of connections. If I were to guess, one of those is probably an adapter to go from all of these to one. That would be my guess, but we'll find out when it's time to put it in. Right now, this is literally just the first unboxing. I didn't know what it looked like before. If you saw me at the beginning of the video, I cut the tape on the box. So I had no idea what to expect going into this. But I gotta say, it feels like a very sturdy construction. The fans themselves actually feel a little bit thicker plastic and a little bit better quality than the current one I have, which is one of the Corsair IQs. So I'm really excited to get this put into a computer, but I'm gonna have to get a new motherboard for it. And like I said, probably a new power supply. And I didn't want to order those until I got this in, because there was always that there was always that doubt that this wasn't a real thing or I was being scammed or whatever. Everything I did when I looked into it made it look like it was real and legitimate, but there was always that little bit of doubt, and I didn't want to order anything without knowing for certain that I was getting this. So now that we have this, I'm going to go online and I'm going to order some parts to make this thing work. I am doing a fair bit of research on it, and I do have my preferred brands. So I'm not going to say what it is right now. I'll show you when it comes in and we're ready to put it together. So for now, we're going to fast forward, and the next thing you see is me getting those things out. Okay, so now we're in the future. It's a pretty cool place to be. So what we did is I ordered some extra parts, and I'm going to basically build a second computer using some of the parts from my current computer into a new tower. So this tower was the NZXT H500, and what I'm going to is the Corsair 5000D airflow. Now I did mismeasure, I guess. I could have sworn that I measured against the dimensions that were listed online and thought it was going to be about the same height. That might be an issue with my desk, but if it is, we'll figure it out and find a way around it. So we got the 5000D airflow, the i9 10900K golden sample that was part of the contest. That's going to be the processor that goes in it. I got the Seasonic Focus PX850 Platinum as the power supply. The goal with that, I've never used Seasonic and I don't know much about it, but when I was looking at the ratings online, it was well reviewed, and my dog has thoughts. It was well reviewed and budget friendly, so I'm not trying to break the bank with this build. I just was doing the build because I won the contest and wanted to do something that was compatible with it. The Cooler Master ML360 Sub-Zero cooling system that was part of the contest as well. We're doing the Asus ROG Strix Z490E motherboard. It kind of gave the best features in the price range compared to some of the other Z490s, and the next step up from that, like, essentially doubles in price. So again, we're not trying to break the bank. We're trying to make something functional that's going to work well. I'm going to change my primary drive to this Samsung SSD 980 Pro, the M.2 Generation 4 hard drive. That's going to be my main boot drive. Now, from my current computer, I'm going to use the graphics card that I was using in it. It is the Asus ROG Strix RTX 2080 overclocked edition. I'm going to use the Corsair LTX Vengeance RAM that's in there, and I bought some cheaper RAM that's going to go in this one to make it usable. This is a 4000 megahertz overclocked RAM, and so that's going to go in the main build. And the graphics card, the RAM cooling fan is going to go on there as well, and the two extra hard drives that are in here, the 2 terabyte hybrid drive, which is what I install most of my games on, that's going to go in here, as well as a secondary media storage that I use for building the YouTube clips and things like that. It is a 2.5 inch SSD, standard SATA 3 connection. So it's going to have an M.2, a SATA 3, it's going to have an M.2, a SATA 3 2.5 inch SSD, as well as a 3.5 inch hybrid hard drive that's going to be in it. And it should run like a beast. Now, it's probably going to run a little bit loud just because of like all the fans that are on it. And I really only anticipate that when I'm running games that use a ton of resources, like Valheim seems to, as well as Ark. So I'm really excited to get this build going. You don't know how hard it's been to not open this and mess around with it while I've been waiting for the other parts to come in. And if you'll notice, you may see some bandaging around my neck. I had a large cyst removed from the back of my neck, and I was trying to reduce the amount of strain I was putting on it, so I wasn't doing much lifting, and it just kind of knocked me out of commission for a couple days. So I've been sitting on this for a couple days now, and I have to get started now. So I may show you some stills of some of the parts in the video, and I will also kind of show you the final product of when it's done. But I'm not going to sit there and go part by part and do a PC build. There's people that can do that way better than I can in terms of like an instructional thing. So I'm not going to be doing that, but you'll get to see the finished product, and if you want to see how well it performs, that'll either be a separate video, or you might just have to check out the Twitch channel, twitch.tv/ThaxCast.
Okay, so now I've had the computer running for about a week, maybe a week and a half, and I've run some benchmark tests. It's run really well. I've done overclocking on it because it's honestly meant to be overclocked. I'm running at about 5.2 gigahertz, and it's running very smooth. I used the same RAM that I had in my previous build, and because the hardware in this one's better, the motherboard's better, better processor, etc., it was able to overclock the RAM better. So it's actually clocking at what the RAM is meant to be clocked at. So it's running at what it was meant to run at, and I liked that, especially that didn't have to buy like super high-end RAM to get the speed that I was wanting to get in the first place. I did have some issues with overclocking the graphics card, and that's because rather than writing down what I had it set to, I was doing it by memory, and I set it a little higher than I thought it was set originally. Once I got that kind of back in place, it was issue-free afterward. Now, I will say the one thing that is a little bit annoying about this computer is that with the cooling system that's on it, it's kind of loud. It's not completely distracting, but it is at times distracting, and for the most part I can ignore it. And when I'm streaming and stuff, it's not really a big deal because there's other noises that will drown it out that's either baked into the stream or me talking or whatever. When it comes to produced videos like this, I can do audio editing to edit it out, so it's not that big of a deal, but it is a little annoying. That being said, while the bass volume is a little high, it never really gets louder. When it does, it's just very, very small, and it's basically to the point where you can not tell a significant difference if you're not paying attention. It's basically so that when it does ramp up, it's such a small difference you almost can't notice it unless you're paying attention to it. Now, I will say that because this cooler is meant to work with the Intel Cryo technology, you have to download the right driver for it. You can't just plug it in and go like you would with most all-in-ones. You have to download the driver. When I did that, prior to doing that rather, the benchmark testing when I was running it at 100%, everything was overclocked massive. It was like, pushing it as hard as it can. It got up to about 100 degrees Celsius, and while that's obviously way hotter than you would want it running on a normal basis, again, that was meant to push it. When I installed the correct driver for the cooling system to work with the Intel Cryo technology, at the 100% maxing out everything, it was only getting to 80 degrees Celsius. So it dropped at 20 degrees Celsius, which is a significant drop. Now, that's maxing everything out all the time. More practically, if I'm running a game like Valheim or Ark, which are two of the more system resource heavy games that I've played, as long as I have it on active cooling, which there's a passive cooling and active cooling, when I have it on active cooling, after I come out, it's only at about 32 to 34 C. So very, very good performance on your normal day-to-day usage. I'm able to edit my D&D videos very efficiently on the previous computer, which was still a very solid computer. But on the previous computer, it would take about 30 minutes to export one of my hour-ish long D&D sessions. On this computer, it's taking about 10 minutes. So a very significant improvement over what was already a great performing computer. So all in all, I am super happy with the performance of this computer. The processor is great. The cooling system is great. I wish it was a little bit quieter, but you know what? I'll take the noise for the performance boost any day. So thank you, Intel, for running that contest. Again, this is not sponsored. It's just me reviewing what I got and showing that I'm very lucky to have won this in a contest, and I'm really happy with it. So make sure you're checking out the streams that I have on Twitch, twitch.tv/ThaxCast, and that way you can see the system in use and see how well it runs. Also, the detailed specs are also listed in the About Me section down there. If this is something you like, kind of a review type thing of equipment, let me know. Maybe I'll do some more in the future. But until next time, thanks for coming by, be good to each other, and have a good one.